Hi, good morning. This is R.N. Bhaskar from BKBB, an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. As you're aware, we have conventionally brought you policy reports, stories, and conversations every week. And from this week, we have started a new chapter of news, not exactly news, but news behind the news. And this is the third episode of News Behind the News. And one more announcement that I want to make. Beginning tomorrow, thanks to reader interest and reader requests, we are going to begin at 8:15 and not at 8:30. So tune in at 8:15 tomorrow. To make sure that you get the alerts, do subscribe, to click on the like button, and whenever you click on the like button, we know that this is the kind of program you like, and the numbers tell us which are the ones that you like the most, and then we grow from there. Okay, so first of all, let me talk to you about the major headlines that we have. We have three headlines today, and that is the IPO market window now closing? The second is budget, is a burden of small loans. And the third is how USA has triggered off tariff offensives. And discussing the stories will be two co-anchors of mine. One is Katya Naidu. And thanks, Katya. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And the second is Isha. Isha will also be a co-anchor with me. Okay. We will take the first story, which is something that Katya will talk about. Katya, could we have you?
Good morning, sir. Thank you. So as we all know, the IPO bull run is the longest that we've ever seen in a long time. So it's been going on for 2 years, but every good thing comes to an end. Every bad thing also comes to an end. And because the market crash, the extensive FII exit that we are seeing, I think it looks like the IPO window, the IPO season is finally over. The window might be closing. A very good evidence of that is how IPO filings have fallen in February. There are only 14 companies were filed for their DRHPs. Earlier, if you remember, there were about 30, 40 companies, rushing to file DRHPs. Now that rush has come down. Even in January, they were a little lower. The main reason is because the premium that they were making, on the listing day premiums, have actually come down in the last few IPOs that we have seen. That is one big reason. And the second thing is a lot of people have been betting. A lot of this IPO flipping is a big thing. Even the former SEBI chief has spoken about it. A lot of people sell off immediately, so they are into quick buck making through IPOs. Now people believe, because the bull markets are probably coming to an end, because of the equity market slowdown, markets are actually crashing. It's going to this kind of premium, that 40-50% stock price spike that you see during IPO is going to come down. Now, this is also bad news because a lot of interesting IPOs were lined up, mostly new age companies. Flipkart was a giant IPO that was expected to come in 2025. There's Ather. Zepto also raised money saying that they will go for an IPO soon. And then, of course, we have Jio and all the couple of Reliance companies will also come up, but we don't know what will happen now. But I have a feeling the big IPOs might sail through. Small companies, where the small cap market is actually losing its steam, might suffer, but big IPOs could even sail through in a tough market. Back to you, sir.
The markets are down. The markets are slipping. The IPO pace is going to slow down, and that could have several consequences. Because A, you have a slowdown in capital formation. And the second thing that's going to happen is that people who borrowed money to buy shares now can't sell the shares at high value because shares values are propped. So the money circulation has also collapsed. And that in turn leads us to the second story, which is also a consequence of the first story, and that is Isha's story. Isha, can we have you?
Hello, good morning. Hope you're having a great start to the day. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to be bringing you a feature from the Hindu titled The Huge Burden of Small Loans. Madhuri, a 25-year-old, and her 2-month baby were found living under a building staircase in the Tarihal village in Karnataka to escape the harassment of collectors who were after her for defaulting on a loan taken by her father. This is the plight of many others who've taken loan from microfinancing institutions, who have been increasingly resorting to the use of coercive methods and gross violations of guidelines laid out by the RBI to deal with its defaulters. Post-COVID-19, rural indebtedness has increased as a result of falling or stagnating incomes, increasing inflation and lifestyle aspirations, and emergencies through loans from MFIs. This problem can be attributed to multiple factors. The first being that the industry continued lending to defaulters, overlooking the repayment capacity. Defaulters often take new loans in order to repay old loans. It is a vicious cycle of debt that reels in the vulnerable. Second, being the cap on collateral free loan amount to an individual was raised from 3 lakhs in 2022 from the 1.25 lakh cap introduced in 2019, which seems like an illogical move considering that the income hasn't grown 6 times in the past few years. MFI has been found to violate RBI norms in their quest for growth. With changes in policy, the microfinancing industry has had an outstanding growth with about 25.4% across the nation and 32% in Karnataka alone, where Madhuri is from. And today we have an outstanding, as of March 2024, we have an outstanding portfolio of rupees 4,33,697 crores. Furthermore, the RBI does not regulate much on NBFCs and has been outsourced to self-regulatory organizations like MFIN and Sadhan. Another issue which has amplified the problem is a 2+1 scheme introduced by the sector. So essentially, when you take a loan of 2 lakh rupees, you get a 1 lakh rupees top up. And the sector coerces people into opting for this option, and it's become available only because of the increased limit. This microfinancing distress is evident across the country, but it was first in Karnataka, where Madhuri is from, where it was on such a scale that it gained visibility. The crisis has even prompted the state government to come up with the Karnataka Micro Loan and Small Loan Prevention of Coercive Actions Ordinance 2025 to curb the menace of harsh recovery procedures adopted by the.
Thank you very much, Isha. What you say is absolutely right. There is a crisis in the loan markets, and one of the causes is, of course, Katya's story, that the IPO market has collapsed. When you collapse in IPO markets, people who thought they could make money on IPOs suddenly find that the money they borrowed to invest in IPOs cannot be redeemed, it cannot be repaid because the markets have crashed. Now, when money does not come in from IPOs, it also affects the capital markets in a different way. Capital formation does not take place. With capital formation not taking place, new jobs can't be created. And even existing jobs will be in trouble. And as jobs get into trouble, it means more loan defaults will take place, worsening the loan situation. And the Reserve Bank of India, the central bank, is caught in a cleft stick because it knows that much of the employment is in the unorganized sector. The man who comes on a cycle to deliver eggs in your house, to your house, is a man who does not belong to the organized finance sector. He has to borrow money from the unorganized sector. And because the lender knows the market's conditions are bad, he increases his lending rates. The RBI sees red, but it knows that if it stops the unorganized lending, that man will suffer. If it allows it, you have higher interest rates. Both ways, the RBI is stuck. This could mean inflation too. And that takes me to my story, which again talks about turbulence at the global level. As the Economic Times points out, the Trump offensive is causing havoc everywhere. Mexico, Canada, and China have decided to join hands and challenge the US in its own language. If Trump wants to increase tariffs, each one of them will retaliate in some form or the other. You may remember when Trump increased tariffs right at the beginning on automobiles and steel to 25%. Steel is the raw material that Germany uses for making cars. Germany is upset. So it broke ranks with the EU and decided to join hands with Canada to attack the US. China has already put in place several measures. Canada has put in place several measures. So has Mexico, and little by little the momentum is growing. You have a situation now where with Germany, China, Canada, Mexico all joining hands, you have a literal trade war taking place. When a trade war takes place, trade volumes shrink. When trade volumes shrink, global wealth generation drops. When global wealth generation drops, countries begin defaulting on loans. So expect more trouble. And when countries start defaulting on loans, you can expect US goods will not be purchased by these countries. In India, similarly, India is going to be affected because USA is one of the few countries where we have a trade surplus. But now that Trump has imposed a trade tariff, India's exports to US will decline, which means India's imports will increase, which means the balance of trade will worsen. We are in trouble. The whole world is in trouble. What this will happen, this will lead to, nobody knows. Let's see. And yes, I can see some questions coming in. So let me handle the first question. We'll try to take 3 questions in all. And the rest of the questions will be seen online and people can react to it the way they want. And one of the questions is, will we have a global recession? Looks like it. Looks like it. When you have trade slumping, when you have economic turmoil, when countries don't want to buy anymore, you're bound to have a recession. Only I feel that the recession will hit America very badly because there will be inflation. America is going to be hit by 2 kinds of inflation. One is the tariffs and counter tariffs will increase the price of US goods in America. And the second is by forcing immigrants to leave, illegal immigrants, you're going to cause a labor inflation. So America is going to be hit by a goods inflation and a labor inflation and a collapse in the world markets. There will be a kind of a recession, if nothing worse. Okay. Another viewer wants to know whether we expect a market revival in India soon. Difficult. Difficult unless, and this is a very important question, condition. If the government of India decides to introduce laws that allow the agricultural sector to prosper, maybe India can escape. Why? Because 50% of India's population is in the agricultural sector. If you can give agriculture the benefit of having higher incomes, don't resort to imports, you could see a revival of domestic industries, whether it's leather, whether it's milk, whether it's meat, whether it's handicraft. Concentrate on that. Focus on labor-intensive industries for which the markets do not have a tariff imposition at the moment. A lot depends on the government's wisdom and the government's ability not to play the capital market, the capital-intensive industry game, but to focus on domestic strengths. And yes, there's a third question, and we'll take this third question as the last question. How can we incentivize people to repay their loans? I wish there were a way. Because if the incentives are very good, people will borrow money for someone to repay the loan. So the borrowing moved from one pocket to another pocket. Eventually, we want the loans to come down. And for loans to come down, you must create jobs, you must create wealth, and you must talk about less divisions between communities, whether on religion or on language or on territories. Bring about harmony, bring about wealth, bring about agricultural productivity, and less dissipation of forces in non-productive areas. We can change India, provided we go this way. And with this, I will end my questions and answers now, because we have two things to say. One, please remember that from tomorrow, we begin at 8:15 a.m. And so we expect to see you tomorrow at 8:15. And the second thing, please click the subscribe button. Please click the like button. We like to know what you like, because that tells us the direction, advises us on the direction that we should take. And yes, stay tuned. We bring you news behind the news every morning from 8:15 a.m. onwards, beginning tomorrow. This was the third edition. We hope there'll be many more, and we hope you have support. Take care. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.